you guys are excited, drop some fire in the chat box. You guys have any idea what I'm going to be talking about here today? Michelle, what's going on? Thank you guys for tuning in. Happy Thursday. We are I think it's just a few days out from Christmas, right? We're like 6 days. Today is Thursday. Christmas is less than a week away, 6 days, which is crazy. I just finished up my prep season for the year, so I'm heading into 2025 with a clean slate focused on the business and my relationships, which I'm really excited for. But today we're talking about this question that I have for you guys. Where does the pressure come from? Now, when I say pressure, this could mean anything. Pressure in your career and your relationships, in your fitness journey. Where does that come from? Where do you feel the pressure to perform in whatever area that is for you? Let's have a conversation. Josh, if you're here, let me know. When you guys are trying to complete certain things in your life, let's just say maybe it's a promotion at your job. Let's say maybe it's to lose a certain amount of weight, right? When you do that, what perspective are you viewing it from? Because our intentions are everything when you think about this. What intentions are you setting heading into 2025? It's a new year. Everybody's going to be thinking about the New Year's resolutions that they're going to give up in 2 weeks. But I think if we can have this conversation and really dive into it, it's going to be monumental for you going into this new year. Josh, do you think pressure is a good thing? I do, but it depends on the person. Sometimes pressure will break certain people. Sometimes it will really shape people into who they really are. And pressure comes in many different ways at various times in our lives. And a lot of the times, we're not really prepared for it. Would you guys agree? So to answer your question, Josh, yes, I do think pressure is a good thing. Pressure could either burst a pipe or it could build diamonds. So that's something that I find is really interesting. But the conversation that I wanted to have with you guys today is just a couple questions, Well, why do we expect so much of ourselves, being that this is our first time on the planet? I don't know about you guys, but I'm very hard on myself. I want to get the most out of my life, the clients that I work with, the people that I interact with every single day. I want to make sure that I'm always bringing my best. So I do put a lot of pressure on myself, and I'm also really hard on myself to perform. Would you guys agree? Does anybody else resonate with that in the chat box? Let me know. Drop a yes. So that's the question that I have for you guys is, where does that pressure come from? Are we trying to look a certain way to have others perceive us in a certain fashion because we think it means something, with the way that you dress, with the way that you physically look? What does that look like for you? And I'm asking you these questions because if you could really get concrete on why you're doing the thing and do it from a place of love within yourself and not needing to do it for an external validation, that's where the magic lies. That's where the peace lies. This question from Sophia: how do you not bring yourself down when you are not meeting your own expectations? That is such a good question. And something that really has given me a lot of peace recently on that, Sophia. Thank you for asking that. Because there's a lot of times where I don't meet the expectations that I set out. For example, I'm a bodybuilder, right? And I just prepped pretty much all year, over 8 months, to be ready for this show this past weekend that I just competed at, because I was looking to obtain my pro card as a bodybuilder, and I wasn't even close. But you know what? I'm not mad about it in any way. Do you want to know why? Because I have healed myself enough to love myself regardless of what happens. I don't need any type of trophy or card or car, house, whatever, to make me feel a certain way, because I'm good with myself. Now, it hasn't always been that way. It took me hitting a rock bottom for me to actually feel that, because when I had all of those things for myself, I thought it was going to make me feel something, and it didn't. And because of that, I was forced to look inside of myself and start to ask some deeper questions as to, well, if I have the house, the girl, the car, the dog, the money, the business, the physique, I had literally every single thing, the supplement partnership, all of it, all the things that we put on the vision board, I achieved. I got the awards in the business coaching program. I've traveled the world. I've lived in Mexico, Canada, all over the country, you name it. And then I have that. And I was like, I thought this was going to make me feel something, and it didn't. And now going through that experience, I realize why millionaires and really successful people take their lives, because when you were constantly chasing the pinnacle of success, regardless of what that looks like for you, right? And then when you achieve it and it doesn't give you the feeling that you want, it leaves you in a very dark, vulnerable place, because then you're looking at like, well, if I reach the mountaintop and that's not it, what else is there? And that's what I saw for myself. I had checked all those boxes. So to bring it back to you here, Sophia, what makes me feel good is just recognizing that, like, hey, I'm a human being. This is my first time on this planet. And if you start to view mistakes as really just opportunities to learn, I think that's going to be able to help yourself get into a more grounded position mentally. Because if you're always looking at the pessimistic, glass half empty perspective lens through life, you're going to really be miserable. And it's fascinating because that's just a conscious choice that we get to make every single day. And a lot of us like to feed the narrative that we're these negative, broken people, when you can just simply decide, like, hey, like, I'm an awesome person. I do good things, and I wake up every single day and try to be my best. And like, for me, that's enough. And sometimes things don't go my way, but that's okay. That doesn't mean you're going to give up, does it? Because when you quit and you stop, you're guaranteed to not get the things that you want. So I'm going to scroll through, Sophia. Let me know if that answers it for you. But I could go all day. From North Florida. Cool. Do you guys have questions on that? Sophia, are you still here? Thank you guys for the follow. A couple of you guys tossed me a follow. I appreciate you. Jax, thank you. My man. Hello from Minnesota. How do you learn to self-validate? What is your internal focus of control? So that's another really good question. I'm just going to double back to Instagram for Josh. Setting out realistic goals or setting high goals too quickly. Expand on that, Josh. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. Back to Sophia. How do you learn to self-validate? You're asking really good questions. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned over the last couple of years is the quality of your life is ultimately determined by the quality of the questions that you ask. And when it comes to healing generational traumas and patterns in our subconscious, it's something that takes a lot of work. Something that I've done specifically myself is I've hired a lot of coaches and a lot of mentors. I've spent a lot of money looking to figure that out. I've gone to multiple events, but if I can give you anything, things like breath work, things like meditation, things like journaling, reflection, taking time in stillness, in quietness. Like for me, like every single day, the first hour of my day, my girlfriend knows not to talk to me. I'm not on my phone. That is when I take my time to, whether that's a yoga routine, go for a walk, journal, meditate, read, whatever it is. I always make sure the first hour of my day I pour into myself to just step back, reflect, think about the things that I have going on in my life, in order for me to bring the best energy every single day. So when it comes to self-validating, it's, I think, what is your vision? Why are you doing the things that you're doing every single day? And like, truthfully, is that in alignment for the life that you're trying to create? And as far as like internal focus of control, it's always bringing myself back and recognizing that I am not my mistakes. I only have to identify with them if I choose. So it's kind of like if you think about us human beings riding a horse, right? If you're riding a horse, the horse has a mind of its own, and sometimes it might, just veer and go do certain things. But that's essentially how I view our mind sometimes. And you're the one steering it, but sometimes you just have to constantly pull it back. And once you pull it back on the track, eventually it will essentially rewire itself to stay on that path, if that makes sense. So you have to constantly reframe the thoughts and the behaviors and essentially train a new thought pattern in your brain. And that's where, things like psychedelics come into play. I myself have dabbled a little bit into the mushrooms, and that definitely actually scientifically is proven to rewire some neural pathways in your brain. I'm not saying you need to do that. It's something that I've done. There's things like ayahuasca and some more intense things to go that route depending on where you're at. But let me know if that makes sense. Peck bounce. Sophia, I hope that answers that for you. Let me know if you're still here. I thought you meant locus, not focus. Locus of control. What do you mean exactly by that? But if you have deep-rooted beliefs, how do you hack your brain? Words of affirmations don't work for me. Yeah, so affirmations are not going to heal it for you. You could tell yourself all day that you're confident, you're abundant, this and that, because I did that shit for years too. I'm saying that you need to face some of the things. It's really just, it comes down to facing your past, because as we grow up, we experience things, situations, trauma in many different forms, and we hold on to that energy. And because we hold on to that, it continues to just fester and essentially like grow mold inside of us. So if we don't take the time to revisit that and heal through it, it'll just continue to resurface and resurface and resurface. And that's why for me, things like breath work and meditation literally move the energy out of the body, So luckily I was able to connect with a really good coach of mine, a mentor that helps facilitate a lot of those breath works. And I've done multiple of those in person. And that's what helps me, because then it moves the energy and it allows me to see different things, and it allows me to see myself in a different light. And the reality of the situation is that right there, affirmations don't work for me, leads me to believe that maybe you have, I could be wrong, maybe you have a little bit of a fixated mindset. And I want to challenge you on that and say that if you're really willing to step outside of your comfort zone and try different things, that's how you're going to get different results. But if you're doing the same things over and over again, it's not working. That's where we need to say, hey, maybe there's some better questions that I could ask here. And then that's what's going to happen. So right there alone, right, I would say look to get into some form of consistent breath work and meditation a few times a week, and really get into that after you step out of the session. Journal, work through it, ask questions. Therapy has been big for me as well. The conventional therapy though is, I'm not the biggest fan of. So it just depends. But it's not about hacking your brain. For me, I've healed a lot from revisiting my past and having certain visions inside of a breathwork or meditation where it brings a conversation. Like, for example, when I was a kid, when I was younger, me and my brothers were cleaning up my backyard. Long story short, we had got on top of a glass table that was in my backyard, trying to put the umbrella that was in the table back from a storm. There was like a rainstorm the night before, whatever. So me and my brothers thought it would be really nice for us to clean up the backyard for my parents. So what happened was we were young and the umbrella was really heavy. So me and my brother got on top of the glass table and it broke. Yeah, we were kids. We didn't think anything of it. And he fell through and had to get hundreds of stitches. Now, I felt so much guilt and shame for doing that because I was the older brother. And as the older brother, the younger one puts the trust and faith in the older to lead and guide. So for me is I didn't mean to hurt him intentionally, right? And then I have that situation where I felt a lot of guilt and shame for putting him in harm's way. And I carried that with me for years. And we never really spoke about it. And then in a recent breathwork and meditation a few months ago, that came up for me. And I literally called my brother and we had a really in-depth emotional conversation about that. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And like, just even talking about it as adults, like, removed a lot of those emotions. And that's the thing. If we don't take the time to step back and revisit that and have those conversations with those people, that's where we really start to create those energetic gaps, if that makes sense. So I hope that answers that for you, Sophia. I'm an open book as well. If you have like certain questions that maybe you don't feel called to share on the live, that's cool too. I'm literally a bodybuilding coach, and here I am talking about this stuff. It's funny, right? It's called internal locus. It's a psychological concept. Yeah, so I'm not a psychological expert. I'm more of a bodybuilding coach. But I've also spent a lot of time and energy on healing myself just to make sure that I'm the best coach that I could possibly be for my staff, for my clients, my relationships, all that. I do believe it's very important. How do you differentiate when you're making yourself small around other people? You're just preserving yourself. Could you expand on that? What do you mean exactly? Josh, you create pressure and you set high goals and you want to get in a short amount of time. This creates pressure that how and why and people quit. Yeah. So would you say that you're that type of person, Josh? Do you feel like you set high goals in a short amount of time and put pressure on yourself? If so, you could expand on that with me because I think that's also another interesting topic. I'm here to just have the conversations, open floor Q&A. You know, I didn't want to script too much here today. I'd rather connect with you guys and serve you a little bit because a lot of times when I record the podcast, you know, I just kind of go on tangents on certain topics, and that's great. But I think sometimes it's also just it's good to connect with you guys and serve. You know, that's what we're all about here. Let's see, Sophia. So how do you differentiate yourself when you're making small? I don't make myself small around other people. I'm not afraid to be myself. So that's another thing. That sounds like more of a self-worth thing. Can't differentiate if I'm making myself small or if I'm self-preserving because I don't feel safe. Yeah, I'm not sure if I understand specifically what you mean there. Could you give me maybe an example? Josh, as I am that person where people always take advantage of me and I want to do so much better. Okay. So why, I think this is a good question, Josh. Why do you let people take advantage of you? If you want to do better, then what is the gap between you drawing that boundary and saying, hey, like, I'm not going to allow this. You know, why are you afraid to speak the truth there? Notice how it's all our own perception that is going to determine our reality. Yeah, so Sophia, let me know if you're able to expand on that. I'm just scrolling through the comments here. You too, Josh. I'm here to serve. I'm here to hang out. I got some time. You know, this week post-show, I'm not in the gym. I'm not training, doing cardio posing. Usually that takes like good 3-4 hours of my day. So realistically, it's 3:30 right now. If I had done all my training, cardio, and posing, it would probably be like 7:30. And, you know, I would probably be in bed already. So because, you know, this week I'm not doing that, I have a little bit more time. You know, so take advantage of that because I don't do this that often. We'll talk later. Okay, shoot me a message, bro. Zach, what's up, brother? How are you? How you feeling heading into 2025? Jazz, what's going on? How are you? Sophia, let me know if you're still here and if you could expand on that. If not, let me know. I mean, I don't know if you have help with this, but my girlfriend specializes in this. She's a coach herself. So if you want, I can put you in contact with her. She might be a little bit more equipped to handle this conversation if you're looking for help. If not, that's okay too. But I thought this was a really interesting conversation. And I was just thinking about it myself because I was going to record a podcast and I was looking back to the notes that I had over the last few weeks. And I was like, well, what should we talk about today? And I think a lot of us in society just put a lot of pressure on ourselves. It's not really necessary and it's not really needed. So it's always just interesting to step back and just be like, well, why is that the case? Where does that come from? Does that need to be my story? Right. I love talking about personal growth, but with fam, I make myself small where I don't talk about any of that. Interesting. Okay. So I show up differently in those spaces. That's okay. And transparently, you know, in my family, I think I'm the only entrepreneur. I'm definitely the only bodybuilding competitor for sure. So a lot of them don't understand it fully, and that's okay. You know, you just take it for what it is. Like they're not intentionally trying to misunderstand you. And I think that right there could give you a lot of freedom inside of that and just accepting people for who they are. You know, I think a lot of times we try to fix our friends and family because we're so excited about personal growth and trying to evolve and challenge our own beliefs. But some people are just okay with where they're at, you know, and sometimes you have to accept that. And sometimes those are people that are, you know, really close to you. That could be family or friends, and that's okay, you know, and it doesn't need to change anything. You just have to go in with the mindset of recognizing that and saying, this is what it is, you know, because you could spend a lot of time and energy trying to figure that out and fix it. And it's just not going to happen. Actually follow your girlfriend on Insta. That's how I followed you. I love her authenticity. There you go. I appreciate that. Yeah. So she's she's very, very good at what she does. She's a killer, man. And that's why I was saying she's definitely more equipped. Because she's the one that's ultimately pushed me into this, you know, a couple of years ago when I first started my own spiritual healing journey. There was, you know, when she started communicating to me about it, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that's where I hired my own first mentor. I've gone on multiple trips myself. It's been really, really awesome. Challenging as shit, really hard. But I feel so much better about myself because I no longer feel like I need certain things to make me feel whole. It's just something that I could get for myself. And I truly do wish everyone could get to this place. And that's why we do what we do. That's why we coach. That's why we show up. That's why we lead our clients. And we continuously learn for that reason, because I know in my soul that there's not enough of these conversations happening right now. And I know that there's a lot of us in this world that need the help. And it's frustrating because a lot of us just won't accept it, and we'll fight like hell to stay stuck. We will argue tooth and nail to stay stuck and fight for where we're at. But that's the thing. All the things that you want in life are on the other side of fear, on the other side of the comfort zone. Everyone talks about that shit on social media. It's rah, rah, rah. Get out of your comfort zone, right? But truthfully, like doing that every single day and pushing your limits is like the most challenging thing, but that's where the best rewards are. How are you able to build a healthy relationship asking for a friend? You talking about like with my girlfriend specifically, like an intimate relationship? What do you mean exactly? If you're talking about like my relationship that I have with my girlfriend right now, it's because we both took the time to heal ourselves. I was single for probably a good 3 to 4 years before we started really taking things serious. And I had promised myself after my last relationship, after I hit my rock bottom back in 2019, that I was not going to get into another committed relationship until I felt good with myself. So until I was really in a position where I felt ready, so to speak. Even when we first started talking, there was some resistance there because I wasn't really sure if I was ready, and I had worked so hard on myself to really get to a good place where I was almost kind of scared to let my guard down again out of the fear of being hurt. But I think to answer your question, Sophia, it was more so we both did a lot of work on ourselves, and I think it was just God's timing, divine timing, where we both were kind of on that same wavelength at the same time in our lives, ready to begin that chapter. And I'm forever thankful and grateful for that, because now, we're building a really awesome family here, and we're working on a lot of amazing things, and it's beautiful. And again, I wish everybody, well, I shouldn't say I wish, I know that everybody could get to this place. Just comes down to, are you willing to do the work? That's it, man. So hope that helps you, Sophia. How do you find that drive to start even? Could you unpack that a little bit? Joshy is your name? The drive to start? I mean, what sucks about that is that a lot of people will wait for a rock bottom to make a change. And I think it takes some courage and some self-awareness to take initiative, even if you are in a decent place. Because usually what happens is, and I've seen this for clients too, like until you get to such a low place where you're like, yo, I need to fucking change. I can't tolerate this anymore. Then you'll change, but it doesn't need to get to that. So I think a good question to ask yourself is like, what do you want to do with your life? Where do you want to go? Why? And then start to reverse engineer it. Okay, let's say I want to move to this city. Well, why do you want to move to the city? Because I want this job. Well, why do you want this job? Okay, well, what is it going to take me to get there? What steps do I need to take? And when you start to do that, like every goal becomes really achievable. It really does. No problem, Sophia. Yeah, we did a podcast yesterday, so I was a little more present with my coach. But I do appreciate, sometimes we just come on and hang out, So I hope that helps. And yeah, feel free to, I don't know if you've talked to Chelsea, but you can shoot her a message too. Danita Cornwall, Mystical Mark. How are you guys? Where does the pressure come from? We just chatted about this for like a good 30 minutes. Josh, I'm not sure if you're still here, my man. But if that helps you, let me know. If you want to expand on it, if you're still here, let me know. We're here to do a little bit of an open floor Q&A for you guys. Just hanging out, man. Just hanging out, trying to serve the world. Appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions regarding fitness, training, nutrition, mindset, heading into the new year, spiritual healing, relationships, finance, business, real estate. I mean, man, I fucking do it all, bro. I do it all. I invest. I got real estate property. I'm in crypto. I'm a bodybuilding competitor. I love business. I love sales. I love marketing. Shit, man. I'm a jack of all trades. So I'm also starting to get into a little bit of business coaching too, which is really cool. Really excited about that. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys here today. Thank you guys for hanging out. If there's no other questions, I'll pop off, have my next meal. But I hope you guys have the best day of your lives. I appreciate you, and I will chat with y'all soon. Much love. Peace.